SpielPart3 Part 3, we're going to explore new layers, vector mask, layer styles, filler, adjustment layers, and filters. Alright, so write this stuff down real quick, and here's what we're going to do. Alright, so here's what we have so far. We have this fire hydrant, and we've done some stuff to it. Alright, so what we're going to do next is we're going to go to Paths, and here's our working path, and I'm going to make that into a selection, go back to layers. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say layer new. I'm going to make a new layer via a copy. Okay, and so I have this, and so I'm going to name it. So I want you to name all your layers. So I'm going to call this Hydrant 2. Okay, and we can use the move tool and we can move it around. Okay, so I can move this thing around, and you can see that it's black and white because it's affected by this black and white layer. So what I'm going to do, see, remember that black and white layer we did? So I'm going to move it above that layer. And let me move it up to the very tippy top. Will this work? Okay, so you can see it's no longer affected. So I wanted to show you how you can make duplicates of layers. So you can duplicate things. All right, and I'm going to also press Control and T, and I'm going to hit Shift, and I'm going to shrink this fire hydrant down so we can see it better. Okay. All right, so there's that. All right, so you can make new layers, right? And a new layer, if I turn everything else off, this is like a sheet of plastic with artwork on it, so you can see through it. Okay. All right. Next, what are we gonna do next? Next, we're gonna do vector mask. Okay. So a vector mask is okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go here, and I'm going to hit the magic wand. Oh, I'm gonna have to apply my transformation. Okay, so I'm gonna use a magic wand tool, and I'm going to select. So I've selected everything but the fire hydrant. Okay, and then I'm going to go select inverse, so I get our new fire hydrant, and I'm going to make that. I'm going to go over to path, and I'm going to make that a. Let's make that a new path, and I'm going to call that hydrant 2. Okay, and okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to click on this and we're going to say make a work path, and it's got to convert that to a shape. So there we go, there's our work path. So we can go ahead and we're going to load that. So now we can keep working on this thing. But anyway, we're going to load this thing. Oh, we're going to load that as our selection. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do, what was it? I can't even remember what we were working on. Hold on. So oh, vector mask is a way of adding or subtracting from a selection using a variety of tools. Okay, so if we go back to layers, and we go to this fire hydrant, we can make a mask. Okay, and if I paint with black, so if I flip-flop this and I paint with my paintbrush with black, I delete from the section. If I paint with flip-flop this and I paint with white, I add to it. And if I paint with gray, so let's say I click on here and I say, oh, let's make this a shade of gray, and click OK. And right now I think I'm painting with white. So if I flip-flop this to gray, it's like semi-transparent. So at any rate, that's a way of selecting stuff in an interesting way. Okay. All right, layer styles. Let's go to layer styles. Okay, let's actually paint this back to black. Click OK. So I want this whole thing back. Okay, so layer styles is a way to change something. Actually, but before I do show you layer styles, I'm going to show you something else. So right here, we can make a fill layer. So we play around with all these things. Oh wait, we got to load our selection before we do anything. So let's go to our path. Let's go to our work path. Let's load that as a selection. We want to just do it with just this thing. Okay, go back to layers. All right, so we're going to do a we could do a solid color or a gradient fill layer. So what that does is, and I can say, let's make a new one of these things. All right, so what that does is I can make a gradient from green to green, and then you can see that's white, so that's see-through. So what we're going to do is we're going to change this color. So instead of green, I'm going to say red. Okay, and then instead of green here, I'm going to say, let's make that purple. Okay, and I'm going to click OK. And it doesn't work until I change this to black. There, oh, there it goes. And I'm going to click OK. So you can see that I made a gradient cover over it. Okay, and what I'm going to do next, all right, so have you seen what, play around with these fill and adjustment layers. Okay, so now we're going to do add an effect. So we're going to do, there's all kinds of them here. We're going to go bevel and emboss. And what that, you can see what that does. So we'll increase that, okay, and click OK. And so we have this, and now what we'll do is we'll go to this particular layer, and we're going to change the opacity so you can see the original through it. So it makes it kind of look plasticky, but kind of interesting, okay? All right, so the only thing we have left is let's do this layer, and the only thing we have left is filters. So if you come down to filters now, so we'll go to artistic, and we're going to go to paint daub. So it's going to make it look like a painting. Okay, so it shows you here what it's going to look like. So it changes it to make it kind of look like a more of a painting. So, but we change the brush size here. So brush size and then sharpness, we click OK. And this gives it an effect of being more like a picture, like a drawing or a painting. Anyway, okay, and you can play with all of, there's a bazillion filters, and you should probably play around with those, okay?